Democratic Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva still hasn't been sworn into office. House Speaker Mike Johnson's office tells CNN she will be sworn in when the House returns to session. Joining me now is Congresswoman-elect from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva. Thank you so much for being here. Representative, you were elected 2 weeks ago. Why do you think you have not been sworn in by the Republican Speaker of the House yet?
You know, in general, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, okay, there has to be some plausible explanation. But in my case, this speaker, Speaker Johnson, has sworn in 3 other members of Congress that were elected in a special. And 2 of them were Republican, April 1st, and they were sworn in April 2nd in a pro forma session. And then we have a Representative Walkinshaw, a Democrat, sworn in about 3 weeks ago, elected on a Tuesday, sworn in less than 24 hours later on Wednesday. And there was a pro forma session. I was in DC, and now I hear, well, the next time that Congress is in session, we were scheduled to be in session September 29th, the 30th, those were canceled. And then we were scheduled to be in session on the 7th of October, those were also canceled. And now he has indicated publicly that until the Senate does their, passes something that the House can look at, then we're not coming back. So I don't know, I have any idea when I might get sworn in. And the Speaker's office has not had any direct communication with me.
Let me ask you why you think there are some Democrats saying this has to do with the Epstein files. Are you hearing that? And what's your sense?
I am hearing that. And I am going to be the 218th signer to the discharge petition. So that is the only thing that most people are pointing to. I mean, I am a woman of color, a Chicana from Tucson. None of those factors, I don't think, are reasons why I wouldn't be being sworn in, other than pointing to the Epstein files and the complete lack of transparency from this administration in releasing those files. The other is Speaker Johnson has closed down votes in the recent past to avoid a vote on the Epstein files. So there does seem to be a connection.
Represents several Epstein accusers. Also with us, former U.S. Attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Barbara McQuaid. Eric, first, your reaction to this big development.
Well, it's fantastic news. I mean, this is absolutely the right decision. What Ms. Maxwell's team tried to do is they tried really to turn one of the great travesties of injustice when it comes to child sex trafficking, the non-prosecution agreement by Alex Acosta, to allow Jeffrey Epstein to continue to abuse for another decade. They tried to use that to say, now you also can't prosecute Ms. Maxwell because technically she would have been included as a co-conspirator, and that would apply to the entire United States, even though it very clearly only applied to Florida. So that's what she tried to do. And thankfully, the Supreme Court did not buy it, just like every court did not buy it. It was a real Hail Mary argument. And on behalf of the victims, we're very pleased. I hope this is the last we hear of Ghislaine Maxwell, unless, of course, the news is that she's being transferred back to a more maximum security prison.
Have you heard it all from any of your clients at this point in reaction to this?
Certainly, yeah. They're relieved. Every time they have to hear Ms. Maxwell's name, remember, she was given this platform by the DOJ to just deny and tell her side of the story, which was nonsense. She got to be moved to this minimum security resort. We're really sick of this Ghislaine Maxwell special treatment, really sick of her getting a platform, and really sick of her being in the news. She doesn't deserve to be in the news. She deserves to be behind bars where child sex traffickers belong.
So, Barb, in a statement, here's what Maxwell's attorney says. This fight isn't over. Serious legal and factual issues remain, and we will continue to pursue every avenue available to ensure that justice is done. He doesn't elaborate on what he means by this fight isn't over. What could he mean? Could Maxwell take this challenge further in some way?
Yes, one of the things that a defendant has available to them, even after they have exhausted all of their rights to appeal, is to file a habeas corpus petition alleging that their confinement is in violation of the Constitution in some way. And so if you could say that someone's constitutional rights were deprived at some stage of the case, in this instance, perhaps this argument that we've just been discussing about the plea agreement that Alex Acosta signed. I don't think that there is any merit to any of them based on what we have seen. I agree that this last gasp legal challenge before the Supreme Court was the equivalent of a legal Hail Mary. But nonetheless, there is this, it's a civil process, a habeas process that could seek collateral relief from courts if there is a constitutional violation that occurred in the process of her prosecution.
Eric, are you prepared if Maxwell's team tries to take that approach?
Yeah, I'm prepared. I've been prepared for everything that comes out of this Epstein sort of debacle, you could call it, for the last few decades. There's almost zero chance that habeas corpus would work for Ms. Maxwell. She's going to be behind bars. She's going to be in prison where she belongs.
Certainly, unless she gets pardoned.
Unless she gets pardoned. And, I couldn't even think of the words to describe the devastation that would be to victims and survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Maxwell if that was the case. But right now, I think we're all really pleased and hope this is the last we hear of Ms. Maxwell for a good time.
Weekend.
There's been a lot of conversation about why I haven't been sworn in when there are 3 other members, Democrat and Republican, that were elected in specials like I was, that were sworn in within 24 hours of their election. And here I am 10 days out, still waiting. A lot of talk about me being the 218th signer for the discharge petition for the Epstein files, which I will do as soon as I'm sworn in. The timing is very suspect.
And the Congresswoman-elect of Arizona, she joins us now. Congresswoman-elect, it is good to see you. Thank you for joining the show. So do you have any clarity about when you're going to be sworn in? What have you heard from Speaker Johnson?
Absolutely nothing from Speaker Johnson at all. And so it is very suspicious, the timing, the fact that, I had 2 other members of Congress sworn in during a pro forma day on April 2nd, no problem at all. Had another colleague, Walkinshaw, from Virginia, sworn in under 24 hours. He's a Democrat. The other previous 2 are Republicans. And so the majority doesn't change because I get sworn in. The only thing that I can point to that is different, that one, I'm a woman of color, Chicana, but also that I'm going to be signing the discharge petition for the Epstein files.
And why do you think Mike Johnson is so bothered by the fact that you will be the 218th person to sign the discharge papers?
I really am not a conspiracy theorist type of person in general. I try to come up with what is the most plausible reason why this would be happening? And respectfully, I can come up with nothing else. Nothing else, because the majority doesn't change because I'm sworn in. I had an opportunity to speak to Speaker Emerita Pelosi, who said it's very standard for there to be swearing-ins throughout the year, especially during these really critical times. And this has nothing to do with the shutdown, because I was in D.C. on a pro forma day before the shutdown, and I could have easily been sworn in.
Congresswoman-elect, is there any leverage that Democrats could use to pressure Johnson to do this? I mean, what kind of a ruckus could they start, so to speak? It just, this reminds me a bit of, Merrick Garland-esque.
Yeah.
What are the levers that they can use, even though they aren't in power right now?
I know we're exploring every option there is. Is there an option for a federal judge to swear me in once my race is completely certified by the state of Arizona? And that's supposed to happen on October 14th. If I am not sworn in by then, I can't imagine the kind of outrage we will be hearing from people. I just had an opportunity to go to an event right now. There were 300 people there. At least 100 asked me with some colorful language when I'm going to get sworn in. It is important to this community to have a voice and to have constituent services when the government is in a shutdown, to explain things about what is happening and to provide support and services to those who need it. And I can do none of those things, cannot hire staff, my name is on my door, my office door in DC, and I have no keys to get in. I can't get in the building right now because we're in a shutdown.
Speaker Mike Johnson spoke with NBC's Kristen Welker. I want to play some of that conversation with you and then talk on the other side.
Many Democrats have looked at your move. They say the House is not in session because you don't want to swear in this newly elected senator, the Democratic Congresswoman from Arizona, who would be a critical vote to releasing the Epstein files. How do you respond to that charge?
It's totally absurd. This has nothing to do with that. It's another red herring. The reason the government is closed is because Chuck Schumer and 43 of his Democrat colleagues in the Senate have decided now to vote multiple times to keep the government closed.
What's your message back to Speaker Johnson, and what kind of precedent do you think this is going to set?
Well, the fact that Republicans were on vacation while Democrats were there ready to negotiate before the shutdown. The fact that there is no opportunity for us to have any real meaningful conversation. Basically, House Republicans said, this is our budget, Senate. You deal with it or don't. We're going to shut it down if you don't agree to our terms. And what the Democrats are fighting for is health care for the American people. In Arizona, 1 in 5 children is going to lose health care if we can't roll back some of the devastating cuts from the big, beautiful, horrible, wretched bill.
Congresswoman-elect.
That's what we're fighting for.
Oh, sorry. Much like they descended on Washington after Labor Day when Speaker Johnson wouldn't let the Epstein files come up for a vote, more Epstein victims are going to come back to Washington this week to advocate for the release of these files. What message do you have for the victims for why it's taking yet another delay? You're swearing in to have justice.
I can't imagine the frustration for victims that just want justice. They want the people that perpetrated crimes against them to be held responsible and culpable publicly for what they've done, and give these victims the opportunity to move forward and begin this process of healing.
Guys, Maxwell, I think she's furious. And she's got to be furious at MAGA because Donald Trump appointed 1/3 of this court, and at least 2 of the other judges are very pro-Trump. You have 6 conservatives, and 5 of them are Trump-aligned. Roberts is sort of iffy. I'm not going to give Roberts a pass for all the wrong decisions he's made, but he's not necessary. I don't get the sense that he's personally a fan of Trump. But you have 5 MAGAs and a regular, quasi-MAGA, I suppose, on the fence on that court, and the Trump-aligned court wouldn't even give her a hearing, and I bet you she's mad. And she might be wondering to herself, am I right to rely on MAGA to be my saviors? Because that seems to be what she's been trying to do, right? I'm going to protect Trump. I'm going to testify in a certain way. This could lead to a moment where she changes her tune, because if Trump can't deliver freedom via the courts, because, I mean, look, we all know the Supreme Court is in the tank for Trump. We know, right? Like, I guess it hasn't been proven in court, ironically enough, but we know. And who knows, if Trump really wanted it, maybe the court could have given her what she wants. And that would have allowed Trump to effectively not have to pardon her, not have to spend political capital doing it. I don't know. All this to me indicates that the Republican Party is trying to control what she says, because in many ways, with them unwilling to release the files, doing so much, including blocking a new congresswoman from taking her seat, because they don't want her to, they don't want the files to be released. She's the only, talking point. She's the only signpost that we have, because Jeff is gone, right? He is gone. I don't think he took his own life, let's just put it that way. But he's gone. She's the other kingpin, queenpin of this, and the rest of the evidence is in files the Republicans don't want you to see. So I think she has immense power, and I don't know if she's happy with Donald.